So how about we do a little bit more with string input and string manipulation. So I have just prompted the user for their name. I have captured it into string 1, and then I'm just going to print it out for them. When I run the program, it prompts me for a name, and then it just mirrors it back to them. But what happens if they key in more than one word? So I'm going to key in more than one word, Sammy Davis, and I'll even put Sammy Davis Jr., and let's see what it mirrors back. It's mirroring back the first name, Sammy. And we have already seen that the CN only reads in a single word. So if I wanted to be able to read in more than one word, I cannot use CN. So I'm going to ask for, prompt them for their full name, preferably more than one word. Now, the very fact that this read, Sammy Davis Jr., it only gave me one, it would be a really good idea, because I've already done a read on line 47, a CN read, that we are going to use cn.ignore. And we know that there are two parameters for cn.ignore. There is the number of characters that we want to ignore, or a char value, a character value, and that character value is going to be a new line when they press enter. So it'll stop when it reads either one of those in, and then I'm going to use getLine. And the getLine is going to require two parameters. This is a string function that requires two parameters. The first parameter is going to be the name of the input stream, which is CN, and the second one is the name of the variable that I want it put in. So we're going to try to read this into string 2. Pretty sure that I have a second string in here. And then we will we'll mirror back the value that we just keyed in. So when I run it, the first name was Sammy Davis, right? And it's going to capture Sammy, which means that there are still characters left in my input stream. So what we want to do is we want to clear those out, and then we're going to ask for the full name, Sammy Davis Jr., and it will mirror back to me. Do you remember what will happen if we don't clear that out after that first read? I'm going to comment that out, and then we're going to run it again, and we're going to see what happens if I don't clear out the input stream before I prompt them again. So this would say Sammy Davis, and I'm going to press enter, and if you'll notice, it never even waited for me to do the second read because there was already something in the input stream, and that's exactly what it captured, whatever was left in the input stream. So I'm going to come back up here and put an end line after that first one because it's driving me a little bit to distraction. But we're going to see that there's actually, can potentially be 3 parameters for getLine. So what we know is the first one is the input stream. That would be CN. That would be the input stream that we are using right now. The second one is going to be the destination, or the variable that you want it stored in. If you have a third parameter, this is going to be the terminator. Because maybe, just maybe, what you want to read in is going to have an input new line, or force a new line inside of it. So I'm going to say, and what is your address? Question mark. And I'm pretty sure that an address is a city, a state, and a zip. There's a whole bunch of enter keys in there, right? So this time what I'm going to CN, we're going to use CN getLine, cn.getLine. There's going to be 3 parameters. The first one is the input stream. The second one is where I want it stored. Do I only have 2 strings? Oh, I have a third one. I'm going to put it in there. And then the third one is going to be the delimiter. And so this is a character delimiter. And what character would you never expect to find in an address? That is the character that we want to choose. How about if we do a $sign? So it is a character surrounded by single quotes. So we're going to use the getLine. Not the cn.getLine, but just the getLine. There we go. With the 3 parameters, and then I'm going to tell them, it's important to tell them what the parameter is. So I might say something like, enter, and when done. That way they know what the exit value is to get out of it, and then we'll run it. All right, so I forgot to uncomment out my clear, my ignore, so it skipped my prompt for the full name. And then it says, what is your address? And then enter that. So I'm going to say 125 North Main, enter key. Maybe that is Ogden, enter Utah, 84401, enter. And then it will continue to ask until I give it the terminator, which we set up as the $sign. And then we're going to have it mirror back our address. So I'll come back in here and I will uncomment my cn.ignore. And then we are just going to see out the address to see what we got. And we put that in string 3, if I remember correctly. And then once it's done, we're just going to force a couple of new line characters inside of there. And then we'll run it one more time. All right, this time it did wait for it. And then we're going to put in the address, 125 North Main. How about Layton? Do you live in Layton, Utah? 84401. And then once I enter or press the $sign, then it will mirror back the address that I keyed in. So the get line has 3 potential parameters: the input stream, the variable that you want it stored in, and then any kind of a terminator that you would like to use aside from the enter key. So another function that's available to a string is we can search. So I'm going to reset string 1 to some kind of a text field, we the people, and then I'm going to search for a substring within that string, and if I find it, it's going to give me the position. If it doesn't find it, it is going to return to me a -1. So I probably need a integer variable to store that in. And so I'm not going to initialize that to anything. And then let's just search for it. So I'm going to say position will be equal to, and we're going to search string 1. And then I'm going to use the find. This is a function that is going to search for a substring. And inside of here, I'm going to type a substring. How about people? And then we will just print position. And see if it found it. There we go. We got to get... There we go. All right, so I might key in an address with the sentinel value or the $sign to get out. It's mirroring back the address to me, and it's saying that it found the word people in position 7. So I'm going to count it off and see if it's actually in position 7, knowing that we are 0-based. So that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it found it beginning in position 7. How about if I search for something else, like America? And would you expect it to find that substring? So when I run it, it is returning to me a value of a -1 because that substring was not found. So I'm going to update this comment here because we were using find, right? So line 71, what if I wanted to search for any characters within a particular group? Not one specific word. It would find even a substring of the word. But if I wanted to find individual characters in the group, we are going to use find first of. So I'm going to set position equal to, and then we'll try it with string 1 again. I'll set it equal to find first of, and then inside of these parentheses I am going to put some kind of a group. How about A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Now it's going to see, and it'll find the first one. It'll search through A, I, O, U, and it should return the first time that it finds any one of those occurrences in the variable. All right, so I'm going to steal this one. I'm going to paste it down here for time, and then we'll run it and see if it can find any of it. And when I run it, it looks like it did find. In position 1, it found A-E-I-O-U. If I come back to my original string, which is we the people, if the W is position 0, then that E is position 1. And so it did find one of them. So the next method and related method or function is called find first not of. And so what I copied the logic find first not of, what it's going to do is I'm going to give it a group. Here is the same group. I'm going to say find first not of, and then it's going to see the very first character that it can find that is not in this group. So I did put that capital W in there because I know that the first thing that it's going to find is the capital W in line 64. So let's see if it can find the first one that is not in that group. So when I run it, it finds position number 2. So let me come back up here. If that is 0, 1, and 2, there's the space. So do you think that I might be able to catch the space? What if I put a space in here? Do you think that it would still find the space? It looks like now it found position 3. So this is 0, 1, 2, and 3. All right, so it found the T. So I can actually have it search for and exclude, I should say, exclude the space. All right, so just a couple more things and then we'll be done with our strings. All right, so line 80, we had already done a find. I can see the find on line 66. We could actually search backwards doing a reverse find. I'm sure that you can practice that. We can also, there is a method or a function that will allow us to erase all content, and that method is called erase. So I'm going to copy the contents of string 3 into string 2, and then I'm going to erase string 3, and I'm going to print it and see what happens. When I run it, I can see that string 3 is empty. What if I don't want to erase everything in there? What if I just want to erase a part of it? So to erase a part of it, I'm still going to use the same erase method, but this time there's going to be a couple of parameters. And the two parameters that we're going to use is the first parameter is the start position. And so where do I want to start erasing from? The second parameter is the number of characters to erase. So on line 91, we are going to erase starting in position 7, and we're going to erase 7 characters. I'm actually going to print it out before, so I'm going to grab a copy of string 1. I'm going to print it out before string 2, and then I'm going to erase something out of it, and then we'll print it out again and see if it erased something. So when I run it, I see that it actually took out the word people. So I printed it to begin with. If I had wanted it to take out the spaces before and after. Anyway, starting in position 7, it took out 7 characters. So now we can erase specific characters or specific number of characters starting in a specific place. All right, so there are a variety of different methods that are available to strings. One of the important ones, or one of the important things that we might want to be able to do, is to force a string to upper or lower case. So let's see how we can do that. So the function that we're going to use to force to upper or lower case is called transform. It's not going to be as easy as to upper or to lower, but it's going to work. Transform requires 4 parameters. The first parameter is going to be the source starting position. And the second parameter is the source ending position. And then the third parameter is going to be the destination starting position. That can be the same thing as the source, since we're just going to overwrite a string with itself, an uppercase version of itself. And the last operation is going to be, the last parameter is the operation to apply. So we're going to say to upper. So we're going to take these 4 parameters and we're going to write out our uppercase. All right, so I'm going to say string 2 dot begin. We will start in the beginning. String 2 dot end. These are 2 functions that are available to us as strings. The third one, we're just going to overwrite string 2 again. So I'll say string 2 dot begin. That is a function. And then the last one is to upper. Oh, and this should say string to dot begin. There we go. Now, in order to be able to use transforms, we are going to have to pound include algorithm. So I'll just put that in the comments here. If I spell pound include algorithm correctly with the correct braces, I should then be able to copy it, and I'm going to go up to the top of the program and paste it with all of my other includes. And then I'll put a comment on it that this is transform, because we're going to go to upper or to lower. Either one would work. And then we are going to print it out. So I'm pretty sure that I already have a print statement. And I'll say string to, we're going to uppercase. There you go, just so we can see the difference. So when I run it, this is what I get. There was string to originally, and then once I uppercased it or transformed it to uppercase, I can see that it is now in uppercase. And I imagine that you could guess, if I wanted to lowercase it, how I would change that transform. Anyway, so this is just some of the methods, functions that are available to strings.